Hello, I'm David Widmar, co-founder of Agricultural Economic Insights, or AEI.ag. And today I just want to share a few thoughts that we've been talking about around the office, and it's the chaos of decision making. And this is something we've thought about a long time, and I just want to share um, a story and also how this fits into our philosophy as an organization. So the story is I grew up in eastern Kansas in a part of the world sometimes referred to as Tornado Alley. And what happens is we have very chaotic weather, especially in the spring. And growing up, you quickly learn the recipe for this chaotic weather. And there are two elements to keep your eye out for. The first was an abundance of warm and moist atmospheric air that was usually coming from the Gulf of Mexico. So hot, muggy days was the first element. The second ingredient was often a cool, dry line of air or a front that was coming across the plains. And where the warm, moist air collided with the cool, dry air, that's where the storms would fire up. That's where the thunderstorms would take off and they start to move their way east across the plains. And that's where the chaos would get started. And it always struck me as a bit peculiar or paradoxical that two things that were opposites, warm moist air and cool dry air, how those two things when combined would actually set into motion something that was very chaotic. They didn't average each other out, they didn't counteract each other, they amplified the situation in a very uh, chaotic and a very challenging and difficult way. And thinking about that situation that we can see in the weather, we also think the same situation plays out in decision making. And there's two elements that you would think would offset each other, but they actually amplify each other and they create a lot of turbulence in the form of chaos in decision making. And the first one there is uncertainty. Now, there's always uncertainty, especially in agriculture around the weather, but it seems like different periods of time have more uncertainty than other periods of time. And the last few years have had a lot of chaos and uncertainty in agriculture, thinking about all the uncertainty around demand from the trade wars or from the pandemic, but also all the uncertainty around input prices and farm incomes and how commodity prices are going to respond. So there's that. The second element is a torrent of information. We live in this world filled with information. It's never been easier to access information in all of human history. But at the same time, we've never had more access to too much information. How is too much information a bad thing? Well, in a lot of cases, this information is seeking us out, and it is a lot of noise and few signals. And so, as a decision maker, we're spending all of our time getting bombarded by this torrented stream of information, and we have to constantly sift through it. And so the combination of us sifting through information, all these feeds and email alerts and breaking news, we have to sift through what's relevant and what's the most valuable pieces of that as it applies to the decisions I need to make that are also being impacted by all the uncertainty that are out there in the markets and in my business. And so when you combine those two factors, this creates chaos in decision making. So why are we talking about this today? What is the solution? Well, there are two things that I want to share about. First is why we do what we do at Ag Economic Insights. And so when we think about the torrent of information, we launched our blog almost 7 years ago, and our goal was to create data-driven insights. We wanted to sort of take a topic that everyone was thinking about and to break it down into data, show the trends, provide some context, think about the base rate. What can we expect from history? And we've grown that and we've built that, and we have even more of that type of content in our AEI Premium platform where we take data-driven insights, but also share that with these what we're thinking about memos and the ideas that make us better section to help us improve the mental models that we're using in our thinking process. To tackle the uncertainty side, we built the Ag Forecast Network tool, which is a very innovative, unique tool, especially in agriculture, to take uncertainties that we're all facing and frame them in a way that we can learn from each other. We move away from conversations like, will corn prices go higher, which is highly ambiguous, and we respond even more ambiguously. And we frame this in a way that we can start to learn from ourselves over time, but also from others, and we can have more meaningful conversations with other growers, with our trusted advisors, or with our farmer clients. So we put together these offerings to try to offset that. So encourage you to take a look at that and see if that's a good fit for you in your organization and your team. But finally, the main takeaway here is that as you're going through your day, just remember the two ingredients for chaos. So when you think about, okay, how much uncertainty is there in this decision that I'm facing? How much information is bad information versus valuable information? And the goal here is to set the stage so you can challenge your thinking to reduce the uncertainty, but also quiet all the noise and focus on the content, the resources, the ideas that actually provide value for you, and not just providing noise that you have to sift through at some point. So again, hopefully this is helpful for your thinking. Again, encourage you to visit our website, learn more about AEI, our work, our team, and the AEI Premium subscription. And also, hopefully this is a valuable idea that you can apply in your everyday. Thank you for listening, and in the meantime, stay curious.